So breaking just a short time ago, the White House insisted that its prisoners for cash deal with the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, is not a ransom payment. Watch this from John Kirby moments ago.
Didn't they also get 5 Iranians?
They will get 5 Iranians as well. Yeah, Jackie.
Then why did we need to add $6 billion on top of that?
This is the deal that we were able to strike to secure the release of 5 Americans. It would be great, wonderful, if we could just pick up the phone and call the mullahs and say, hey, we want our Americans back, send them back on the next plane. But you and I both know that's not going to happen.
So Republicans warn that this is a dangerous precedent for other bad actors. Let's bring in Nikki Haley, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, former South Carolina governor, and Republican candidate for president. Governor Haley, great to have you with us. Thank you very much for being here. What's your take on that deal that was done? 5 for 5 plus $6 billion released in frozen Iranian funds.
This is incredibly reckless, irresponsible, and just made, America less safe. You look at the fact that Joe Biden just put a bounty on every American's head by giving this deal to Iran. Think of all of our, my husband included, military men and women who are overseas. Think of our foreign service officers that are in every embassy around the world. Every enemy we have are now going to be realizing that if they take Americans, they can get $6 billion too. And you gave it to a regime that says death to America every day. You can't buy friends. You can't pay off enemies. The idea that they did this, they just allowed this $6 billion to spread more terrorism around the world. We saw this with Obama. Obama gave 2 planes full of cash, and what did they do? They went and they gave it to the Houthis in Yemen. They gave it to Hezbollah in Lebanon. They gave it to Hamas in Gaza. They put it in Iraq and Syria. We're getting ready to see terrorism go up, and you're getting ready to see Americans overseas much less safe because he put a bounty on every American's head. It's unthinkable. It's irresponsible. It's incredibly reckless.
Well, your husband's on a year-long deployment starting this week in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and we thank him and everyone else who is out there serving. John Kirby suggested that, well, people just shouldn't go to Iran and then they won't get taken into custody. But as you point out, people can fall into these situations anywhere, even serving. I want to ask you about this David Ignatius op-ed this morning, because in it, the windup is very favorable, very complimentary of the job that the president has done so far. And this is what he says about him as a strong leader on the foreign policy front. Watch this.
I couldn't agree more that Biden has been a strong leader in foreign policy and in domestic policy. One of the things that I admire most about Biden is that he's gathered a team around him of very solid people who think strategically. He is the leader of that team, but the team members themselves are strong.
What do you think about the team that supports President Biden right now? Because, clearly it does take a team in these situations, and Ignatius is very favorable of the work they've done.
Look, 3/4 of America, they don't want to see a repeat of Trump and Biden. They want to see a new generational leader. The Senate has become the most privileged nursing home in the country. These people need to know when to leave. They need to know when to get out of the way. And you look at Biden, I'm not running against Joe Biden. I'm running against Kamala Harris. No one believes that Joe Biden's going to actually perform in his term. Everybody knows he's doing this to win, and then Kamala's going to be it. And the idea that we would have a President Kamala Harris is unthinkable. We saw how she handled the border. We saw how she handled artificial intelligence. She didn't do anything. And so what you've got is you've got an Obama regime that is like backing up Joe Biden, that's pushing Kamala Harris. But at the end of the day, where has it gotten us? Inflation sky high. We can't afford groceries. We can't afford gas. Lack of transparency in the classroom. Crime is on the rise. A completely open border, and all of our enemies aggressively going against us. We cannot have a President Kamala Harris. We need these leaders to realize when it's time to move away. We've got to have a new generational leader if we're going to deal with the threats of tomorrow.
Let me ask you this. That's what Ignatius is calling for. In fact, he doesn't think that you would be running against Kamala Harris. He'd like to see both swept off of the ticket and start clean with someone else. Were you surprised to hear that from a Washington Post editorial? And do you think that is going to happen? Do you think the dynamic is beginning to shift in terms of the support for the president and even the vice president?
We can feel it on the ground. I mean, no one has faith in Kamala Harris. That's a given. That's why he wants her off the stage, too. But no one has faith in Joe Biden. They don't trust what's happening. They don't trust government at this point. They want to leave the past behind us, and they want to go looking forward in the future. I've had 80 town halls in Iowa and New Hampshire. No one is asking me about Joe Biden. No one's asking me about Donald Trump. What they are saying is, how are we going to get inflation down? What are we going to do to catch our kids back up in school? What's happening with the border? How are we going to take on China? Those are the issues they care about.
Let me ask you this, Governor, because, you know, there's discussion about the delegate, the way that it works, right? So you look at the polling, and the former President Donald Trump is still way ahead in Iowa, not spending a lot of time campaigning there, at least not right now. What do you think about the fairness of the situation in terms of how those delegates will be apportioned and whether or not he's, not campaigning the way you are and Ron DeSantis is because he feels like he doesn't have to?
I think it's a mistake for him to think that. You can't win a nomination by being absent. And we're hearing that from people in Iowa and New Hampshire on the ground who have supported what he's done in the past. I think he was the right president at the right time. I don't think he's the right president going forward. We have to leave that negativity and drama behind us. What you're seeing is the start of the election season. The debates kicked it off, and we see people are now very engaged and paying attention. They don't want someone who thinks it's in the bag for them. They want someone to fight for them. And they have to see him get on that stage. And I think that, you can look at whatever percentage they want to show you this week. You can look at the percentage they wanted to show you 3 or 4 months ago. That doesn't matter. Iowa matters, New Hampshire matters, South Carolina matters, and what the people on the ground are doing. And you're going to see those numbers change.
All right. We will see. Governor, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you on the debate stage at the end of September at the Reagan Library. We'll all watch with great interest. Thank you for being here today. Thanks, Governor.
Thank you. Go to NikkiHaley.com and join us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.